There is a moment in almost every person's life when they discover something uncomfortable. The world does not owe you an education, not the education you need. School may teach you how to pass an examination. A job may teach you how to perform a task. A degree may help you enter a profession, but none of those things can guarantee that you will continue becoming the person your future demands. That responsibility eventually comes back to you. And when it does, you face a choice. You can continue waiting for someone to teach you what you need to know, or you can become the student of your own life. That decision may be more important than any certificate you will ever receive. Because the person who keeps learning never remains trapped in the same version of themselves. The world changes. Technology changes. Industries disappear and new ones appear. The skills that make you valuable today may be ordinary tomorrow. But there is one ability that becomes more valuable in almost every era: the ability to learn. If you can learn, you can adapt. If you can adapt, you can continue. And if you continue improving while the world changes around you, you are never truly starting from zero. You may lose a job. You may lose money. You may lose an opportunity. But the mind you have developed, the skills you have earned, and the wisdom you have gained remain part of you. That is why the greatest investment you can make is not always the one that produces the fastest return. Sometimes the greatest investment is invisible. It is the hour spent reading when nobody is watching. The skill you practice before anyone pays you for it. The question you ask because you refuse to remain ignorant. The conversation you listen to instead of dominating. The mistake you study instead of simply regretting. These things may not look like progress in the moment, but they are building something. They are building your capacity. And your capacity determines what you can do with the opportunities that eventually arrive. Many people want a better life. Fewer people want to become better equipped for one. They want more money, but not more valuable skills. More confidence, but not more experience. More opportunity, but not more preparation. More success, but not more responsibility. And this is where many dreams remain dreams. People want the results of growth without accepting the process that creates growth. But life has a way of giving you more only after you become capable of handling more. You do not become more valuable by wishing for a larger reward. You become more valuable by becoming more useful. And usefulness grows through learning. So the question is not whether you are educated. The question is whether you are still being educated. Because there is a difference. You can have a diploma and stop learning. You can have no formal degree in a particular subject and become remarkably knowledgeable through years of disciplined study. Education is not a building. It is not a ceremony. It is not a piece of paper hanging on a wall. Education is what happens when experience, curiosity, study, and reflection gradually change the way you think and act. And that process does not have to end. In fact, the moment you believe it has ended, you may begin falling behind. Think about the last time you learned something that changed the way you saw the world. Maybe it was a book. Maybe it was a person. Maybe it was a failure. Maybe it was one sentence that stayed with you long after you heard it. That is the power of learning. One idea can enter your mind in the morning and quietly change the decisions you make for the next 20 years. You may not remember the exact page. You may not remember the exact conversation. But the idea remains, and eventually it becomes part of who you are. This is why you must be careful about what you repeatedly put into your mind. Your mind is not an empty room. Something is always entering. A conversation, a headline, a video, a belief, a fear, a story about what is possible. The question is not whether your mind is being influenced. It is. The question is whether you are choosing the influences or allowing anything to choose them for you. You can spend an hour consuming whatever happens to appear in front of you, or you can spend that same hour deliberately becoming more capable. The hour passes either way. The difference is what remains when it is gone. One kind of consumption leaves you entertained for a moment. The other leaves you changed. And over the course of years, those choices become enormous. A few minutes of learning may seem insignificant. A few pages may seem insignificant. One thoughtful conversation may seem insignificant. But life is built from things that seem insignificant when viewed one at a time. The question is what happens when they are repeated. 10 pages today. 10 pages tomorrow. 10 pages the day after that. Eventually, you have read hundreds of pages. Then thousands. And without noticing the exact moment it happened, you begin thinking differently. You see connections that were invisible before. You recognize patterns. You understand people more deeply. You make decisions with more information. Your world expands. Not because the world physically became larger, because your mind became larger. And that is one of the quiet miracles of self-education. You can remain in the same room and begin seeing an entirely different world. Now, there is a tool sitting in the hands of billions of people that can either accelerate your growth or consume your life. Your phone. The device itself is not the enemy. The question is what you use it to do. The same screen can give you meaningless distraction for 3 hours, or it can give you a language, a skill, a lecture, a book, a lesson from someone who spent 40 years mastering something you are only beginning to understand. The tool is powerful, but a tool does not decide how your life develops. You do. And this is where discipline becomes essential, because nobody is coming to remind you to keep learning. There may be no examination, no teacher waiting outside your door, no one checking whether you read the chapter, no one asking whether you practiced. That is precisely why self-education reveals character. You must decide that your future deserves your attention, even when no one is demanding it from you. That is a different kind of discipline. It is not discipline created by fear of punishment. It is discipline created by respect for your own potential. You begin to understand that every day you are either strengthening your mind or allowing it to become passive. You are either developing a skill or neglecting one. You are either expanding your understanding or repeating the same assumptions. And the frightening part is that both paths feel ordinary while you are living them. The consequences appear later, years later. By then, the difference can be enormous. Two people can begin with similar opportunities. One continues learning. The other decides that learning ended when school ended. 5 years pass. 10 years pass. The world changes. The first person changes with it. The second person remains attached to a version of the world that no longer exists. The difference may not have been intelligence. It may simply have been a decision to remain teachable. That word matters. Teachable. Because pride is one of the greatest enemies of growth. The moment you believe you already know enough, you stop looking closely. You stop asking questions. You stop listening. You stop noticing what you could learn from people who disagree with you. And the world becomes smaller. Wisdom often begins with a sentence that sounds simple. I may be wrong. That sentence does not make you weak. It makes room for improvement. A person who believes they know everything has nowhere left to grow. A person who remains curious can continue becoming wiser for the rest of their life. So ask questions, not to appear intelligent, to become intelligent. Ask why. Ask how. Ask what you are missing. Ask what you could be seeing differently. Ask what the experience is trying to teach you. Because the quality of your questions often determines the quality of your life. A weak question can trap you. Why does this always happen to me? A better question can move you forward. What can I learn from what happened? The first question searches for blame. The second searches for power. And when you begin looking for lessons, life changes its character. A failure is no longer only a failure. It becomes information. A difficult person becomes an opportunity to develop patience. A disappointing result becomes feedback. A mistake becomes tuition. A setback becomes a lesson you paid for. You do not have to enjoy the lesson. You do not have to pretend the experience was pleasant. But if you learn from it, the experience does not have to be wasted. This is one of the greatest advantages of a curious mind. It can extract value from almost anything. Success can teach you what to repeat. Failure can teach you what to change. A difficult relationship can teach you about boundaries. A great relationship can teach you about trust. A difficult season can teach you endurance. A peaceful season can teach you gratitude. The person who is paying attention is always receiving an education. The person who is not paying attention keeps repeating the same lesson. And life is very patient. It will often send the same lesson again. Different circumstances, same pattern, until you finally understand. This is why you should study your own life. Look at the patterns. What keeps producing the same result? What decision do you keep making? What behavior keeps creating the same problem? What are you refusing to learn? These questions can be uncomfortable, but uncomfortable questions often open doors that comfortable answers keep closed. Now, one of the most powerful ways to learn from the experience of others is through reading. A great book is a conversation with someone who may have spent an entire lifetime thinking about a problem you are only beginning to understand. You can borrow their decades. You can examine their mistakes. You can learn from their discoveries. You can see the consequences of decisions before you make them yourself. That is extraordinary when you think about it. Someone can spend 40 years learning a lesson. You can encounter the lesson in an afternoon. You do not have to repeat every mistake to become wise. You can observe. You can study. You can learn. This does not mean every book is valuable. It means you should become intentional about what you read. Read things that stretch your thinking. Read things that challenge your assumptions. Read about people who lived differently from you. Read history. Read philosophy. Read biographies. Read about leadership, communication, money, psychology, health, creativity, and character. You do not need to agree with everything you read. In fact, disagreement can be useful. A book that challenges you may teach you more than a book that simply confirms everything you already believe. But do not turn reading into another form of collecting. Some people own hundreds of books and remain unchanged. They have accumulated information without allowing information to transform them. The purpose of reading is not to impress people with how many books you have finished. The purpose is to become someone who thinks more clearly and lives more intelligently. So after reading something valuable, ask yourself, what will I do differently now? That question turns reading into education. Without application, knowledge becomes decoration. You can read about discipline and remain undisciplined. You can read about courage and continue avoiding difficult conversations. You can read about health and continue treating your body carelessly. You can read about money and continue making the same financial decisions. The information is not the problem. The distance between understanding and action is the problem. A single idea applied can be worth more than an entire library left unused. So read less if necessary, but think more deeply about what you read. Pause, underline, reflect, discuss, apply. Let the idea enter your behavior. That is when knowledge becomes part of you. And do not make the mistake of believing you need hours every day. You may only have 15 minutes. Use 15 minutes. You may only have 10 pages. Read 10 pages. You may only have one quiet conversation. Have it. You may only have 1 hour on the weekend. Protect it. The size of the investment matters less than the consistency of the investment. A small amount repeated for years can become a remarkable amount. That is true of money. It is true of fitness. It is true of skill. And it is absolutely true of knowledge. The person who learns a little every day eventually becomes a completely different person, not through one dramatic transformation, through accumulation. One idea joins another. One skill supports another. One lesson changes the next decision. And gradually, your capacity expands. That is how compound growth works in the mind. You do not always notice it while it is happening. Then one day, you encounter a problem that would have overwhelmed you years ago. And this time, you know what to do. You have become more capable. That is the return on learning. Now, reading is only one classroom. The world is full of teachers. Every person you meet knows something you do not know. That does not mean every person is right about everything. It means every person may have something to teach you. A successful person may teach you what to pursue. A failed person may teach you what to avoid. A patient person may teach you how to respond. A difficult person may reveal a weakness you need to strengthen. A child may remind you how to remain curious. An older person may show you what truly matters, but you must be willing to pay attention. Sometimes the greatest education is not found in the person speaking. It is found in the person listening. Listen carefully. People reveal their values through their decisions. They reveal their character through how they treat those who cannot help them. They reveal their wisdom through what they do repeatedly. Observation is education, and the more carefully you observe, the more lessons become available to you. You do not have to experience every consequence personally. You can watch. You can learn. You can save yourself years. This is why humility is so powerful. Pride says, I need to discover everything myself. Wisdom says, I can learn from the experience of others. That is not weakness. That is efficiency. You have a limited amount of time. Why spend your entire life making every mistake personally when you can learn from someone else's? Of course, you will still make mistakes. You will still fail. You will still misjudge situations. That is part of being human. But there is a difference between making a mistake and wasting a mistake. The mistake itself may be unavoidable. The lesson is optional. And if you refuse to learn, the cost becomes greater. The same mistake may return in a new form. The same pattern may appear in a new relationship. The same poor decision may reappear under a different name. Pay attention. Your life is giving you feedback. The question is whether you are reading it. Now, there is another reason self-education matters so much. The world rewards value. And value is not simply what you want to receive. Value is what you are able to contribute. If you can solve a problem, you become valuable. If you can communicate clearly, you become valuable. If you can lead, create, build, teach, organize, repair, analyze, or serve, you become valuable. The more problems you can solve, the more opportunities become available to you. And skills are built. They are learned. They are practiced. They are refined. This means your future is not limited to what you can do today. That is important. Your current ability is not your permanent ability. You can learn. You can improve. You can become useful in ways you are not useful today. But improvement requires a decision. You must stop treating your current limitations as permanent facts. I am not good at this may simply mean, I have not learned this yet. I cannot do that may simply mean, I do not know how yet. That small word changes everything, yet it leaves the door open. And the person who believes improvement is possible behaves differently from the person who believes their abilities are fixed. They practice longer. They ask for feedback. They return after failure. They remain students. This is why your identity matters. Do not merely say, I am trying to learn. Become someone who learns. Do not merely say, I want to read more. Become a reader. Do not merely say, I want to improve. Become a person who improves. The identity gives the habit somewhere to belong. And when learning becomes part of who you are, it becomes easier to continue. You no longer need to constantly convince yourself. This is simply what you do. You study because you are a student of life. You read because you are a reader. You practice because you are someone who develops skill. You ask questions because you are curious. You reflect because you are committed to growth. That is a powerful way to live. But there is a danger in becoming addicted to learning without ever doing anything with what you learn. Some people use education as a hiding place. They keep preparing. Another course, another book, another video, another strategy, another plan. They are always almost ready. But eventually, you have to leave the classroom. You have to enter the water. You can study swimming for years. At some point, you must swim. You can learn about business forever. At some point, you must serve a customer. You can study communication endlessly. At some point, you must have the conversation. You can read about courage. At some point, you must do something that frightens you. Knowledge prepares you. Action transforms you. And the bridge between the two is discipline. Every valuable lesson should eventually become a behavior. If you learn about health, make one healthier choice. If you learn about leadership, take responsibility for something. If you learn about money, improve one financial decision. If you learn about communication, listen better today. If you learn about discipline, keep one promise to yourself. Do not wait for a perfect life to apply what you know. Apply what you know to the life you have. That is how learning becomes power. And this is where many people miss the entire point. They think the goal is to know more. The real goal is to become more capable, because you know more. There is a difference between having information and having wisdom. Information tells you what something is. Understanding tells you why it matters. Wisdom helps you use it at the right time. That is what you are building. Not a collection of facts, a better mind, a better judgment, a better way of seeing, a better way of acting. And that process never truly ends. There will always be another skill, another perspective, another weakness to improve, another question to explore. This is not a burden, it is an opportunity. Imagine how much more capable you could become if you gave the next 5 years to deliberate learning. Not frantic learning, not consuming everything. Deliberate learning. Choose a subject, study it, practice it, use it, return to it, then connect it to other areas of your life. 5 years of that can change your career, your confidence, your conversations, your decisions, your opportunities, perhaps even your entire identity. And the remarkable part is that you do not have to wait 5 years to see evidence. You will notice changes along the way. The first time you understand something that once confused you. The first time you solve a problem that once intimidated you. The first time you speak with confidence because you prepared. The first time you recognize an opportunity because you developed the knowledge to see it. Learning changes what you notice, and what you notice determines what opportunities you can act upon. Two people can walk through the same room. One sees nothing. The other sees a possibility. The difference may be knowledge. The opportunity was there for both. Only one had the eyes to recognize it. This is why preparation matters. Learn before you need the knowledge. Develop the skill before the opportunity appears. Build the character before responsibility arrives. Because opportunity often arrives before you feel ready. And the person who has been quietly preparing can move, while everyone else is still trying to understand what is happening. Confidence is often preparation meeting opportunity. You do not have to know everything. You need to know enough to begin. Then you learn more as you go. That is how almost every great ability is developed. The beginner becomes competent. The competent become capable. The capable become excellent, but they all begin as beginners. Do not be ashamed of being new. Be ashamed of refusing to remain teachable. The beginning is temporary. The decision to stop learning can last a lifetime, so protect your curiosity. The world will try to replace it with certainty. People will tell you what cannot be done. Experience will tempt you to believe you already know how everything works. Failure may convince you that you should stop trying. Do not allow any of these things to close your mind. Stay open, not gullible. Open. Be willing to examine. Be willing to change your opinion when evidence changes. Be willing to admit that a better way exists. That is not weakness. That is intellectual strength. And there is something else you must understand. You are not only learning for yourself. The person you become affects everyone connected to you. Your knowledge can help your family. Your skills can create opportunities. Your wisdom can prevent someone else from repeating your mistakes. Your growth can change the standards of an entire environment. When one person learns, the benefit rarely ends with that person. A wiser parent raises children differently. A more capable leader influences a team differently. A more disciplined person creates a different household. A more thoughtful person changes conversations. Your personal growth has consequences beyond your own life. That is another reason to take it seriously. You are becoming someone. The question is who? And the answer is being written through your daily choices. What do you read? What do you listen to? What do you practice? Who do you spend time with? What questions do you ask? What mistakes do you study? What ideas do you allow to remain in your mind? These things may seem separate. They are not. Together, They create the person you become. So do not underestimate an ordinary day. An ordinary day repeated is a life, and a life can be changed by deciding what you will do with ordinary days. Read a few pages. Learn one useful idea. Ask one thoughtful question. Practice one skill. Reflect on one mistake. Apply one lesson. Then repeat. That may sound too simple. It is simple. But simple does not mean easy. The challenge is consistency. Anyone can learn for one day. The advantage belongs to the person who continues learning after the excitement fades. Anyone can read a book. The advantage belongs to the person who allows the book to change their behavior. Anyone can become inspired. The advantage belongs to the person who turns inspiration into routine. That is the difference between temporary enthusiasm and genuine growth. And you will need discipline because distractions will always be available. There will always be another notification, another video, another argument, another reason to postpone. The world is designed to compete for your attention. Your attention is one of your most valuable assets. Where it goes, your life follows. Give it to distraction constantly, and distraction becomes your life. Give it to learning, practice, relationships, and meaningful work, and those things begin to shape you. You cannot control every distraction. You can control what you repeatedly return to. That is where discipline lies. Not in never being distracted, in choosing your direction again, and again, and again. Perhaps you have already lost time. Perhaps you stopped learning for years. Perhaps you look back and wish you had started earlier. Fine. Start now. The best time may have been years ago. The second best time is the next decision you make. Do not use regret as another excuse to delay. You cannot recover yesterday by wasting today. The past has already taken its portion of your life. Do not give it more. Use what remains. You have more time than you think if you stop spending it carelessly. You can begin with 15 minutes. You can begin with one book. You can begin with one skill. You can begin with one question. You can begin with one decision. I am responsible for my continued growth. That decision changes the relationship you have with the world. You stop waiting for permission. You stop expecting someone else to rescue your future. You stop blaming your circumstances for every limitation. This does not mean circumstances do not matter. They do. But your responsibility is to discover what remains within your control. And one thing is almost always within your control: what you choose to learn next. That choice can open a door. A skill can create income. A book can change a belief. A conversation can change a decision. A lesson can prevent a mistake. A mistake can create wisdom. You never know which piece of knowledge will become important later. That is why learning is so powerful. You are preparing for opportunities you cannot yet see. And sometimes the lesson you think is irrelevant today becomes the exact lesson you need tomorrow. So keep learning. Not because you are inadequate, because you are capable of becoming more. There is a difference. Self-education should not come from hatred of who you are. It should come from respect for who you could become. You are not studying because you are worthless. You are studying because your potential deserves development. You are not learning because you must prove your value. You are learning because you want to increase what you can contribute. That is a healthier reason to grow. And growth does not require you to become someone else. It requires you to develop more of what is already possible within you. Your curiosity, your creativity, your courage, your intelligence, your discipline, your ability to serve. These qualities can be developed. But development requires use. A muscle grows through resistance. A mind grows through challenge. A character grows through responsibility. A skill grows through practice. Do not avoid everything that challenges you. Some challenges are the very things expanding your capacity. The book that is difficult. The subject you do not understand. The conversation you would rather avoid. The skill that makes you feel like a beginner. These may be the places where the greatest growth is waiting. Comfort is pleasant, but it is not always educational. Sometimes confusion is the beginning of understanding. Sometimes failure is the beginning of skill. Sometimes embarrassment is the price of becoming competent. Be willing to be bad at something long enough to become good at it. That requires humility. And humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is being willing to see yourself accurately. You have strengths. You have weaknesses. You know some things. You do not know many things. That is true of everyone. The wise person does not feel threatened by what they do not know. They become curious about it. And curiosity is a form of courage. It allows you to approach the unknown instead of hiding from it. So keep asking. Keep exploring. Keep studying. Keep testing what you believe. Keep learning from people who know more than you. And when you discover that you were wrong, do not panic. You have just found an opportunity to become more accurate. That is progress. The goal is not to protect every belief you have ever held. The goal is to discover what is true and useful. Your mind is not a museum. It is a workshop. It should be allowed to change. And as you continue learning, your life begins to change in ways that are difficult to predict. You may begin with a book, then discover a skill, then meet someone, then find an opportunity, then create something, then help someone else. One lesson can lead to another. One decision can create a chain of consequences that changes your entire future. You cannot always see the connection at the beginning. That is why the investment is worth making anyway. Learn now. Prepare now. Develop now. The future is not required to give you advance notice. You may not know which skill will matter most. So become the kind of person who can continue learning whatever becomes necessary. That may be the ultimate form of security. Not knowing everything. Knowing that you can learn. And if you can learn, you can adapt. If you can adapt, you can survive change. If you can survive change, you can continue growing. That is why self-education is not merely about collecting information. It is about building a relationship with change. The world will never stop moving. Neither should your mind. Now, there is one final distinction that separates people who consume knowledge from people who are transformed by it. They review their lives. They ask, what did I learn? What worked? What failed? What should I do differently? Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Without reflection, you can repeat an experience without understanding it. With reflection, even an ordinary day can teach you something. At the end of the day, ask yourself what the day revealed. What did you learn about your habits, your decisions, your priorities, your reactions, your strengths, your weaknesses? These questions may take 5 minutes, but 5 minutes of honest reflection can save you years of unconscious repetition. You do not need to live every day perfectly. You need to learn from the days you live. That is how experience becomes education. And when you combine reading with observation, experience with reflection, knowledge with action, and curiosity with discipline, you create something powerful. You create a person who is difficult to stop. Not because life becomes easy, because you become increasingly capable of meeting difficulty. You can enter a new situation and learn. You can face a problem and study it. You can experience failure and extract the lesson. You can encounter change and adapt. That is a powerful way to live. And it begins with a decision that may appear small. I will not stop learning. Not when school ends. Not when I get a job. Not when I become successful. Not when I become older. Because there is no final version of you waiting at the end of the road. There is always another level of understanding. Another opportunity to improve. Another way to become more useful, more thoughtful, more capable, more wise. This is not a race against other people. Your greatest competition is the version of you that stopped growing. Every day gives you an opportunity to move beyond that version. Read one more page. Learn one more skill. Ask one better question. Make one better decision. Apply one useful lesson. That is enough for today. Then tomorrow, continue. Over time, those small choices begin to separate you from the person you used to be. People may eventually notice. They may say you are intelligent. They may say you are talented. They may say you are naturally gifted. But you will know what happened. You kept showing up. You kept learning. You kept practicing. You kept asking questions after other people stopped asking them. You kept improving when nobody was watching. That is how extraordinary ability often appears. It is ordinary effort repeated beyond the point where most people quit. So take responsibility for your education. Do not wait for someone else to design your future. Do not assume the last classroom you entered was the last classroom you will ever need. The world is your classroom now. Books are your teachers. People are your teachers. Failure is your teacher. Success is your teacher. Your mistakes are your teachers. Your curiosity is the beginning of every lesson. And your discipline determines whether you complete it. The greatest thing you can do for your future is to remain teachable. Because when you remain teachable, you remain capable of change. And when you remain capable of change, you are never trapped permanently by who you are today. You can become more skilled, more capable, more thoughtful, more valuable, more prepared, more useful, more alive to the possibilities around you. But you must choose it. No one can learn for you. No one can read for you. No one can practice for you. No one can apply the lesson for you. At some point, the responsibility is yours. And that is not a burden. It is freedom. Because if your growth belongs to you, then your future is not entirely dependent on someone else deciding to give you an opportunity. You can prepare yourself. You can develop yourself. You can increase your value. You can become ready. And when opportunity arrives, you will have something to meet it with. A better mind, a stronger character, a deeper understanding, a useful skill, a willingness to continue. That is what self-education gives you. Not merely more information, more possibilities. So begin where you are. Read something valuable. Study something useful. Ask someone a thoughtful question. Learn from a mistake you have been repeating. Spend less time consuming what leaves you empty and more time consuming what makes you capable. Protect your attention. Protect your curiosity. Protect the hours that are quietly building your future. You do not need to become a genius overnight. You need to become a little wiser than you were yesterday. That is a goal you can pursue for the rest of your life. And if you do, something remarkable happens. You begin to understand that growth is not a destination. It is a way of living. You no longer ask, when will I finally be finished? You ask, what can I learn next? That question keeps the future open. It keeps the mind alive. It keeps possibility in the room. And perhaps that is the greatest advantage of all. The person who keeps learning can keep becoming. The person who keeps becoming can keep adapting. The person who keeps adapting can keep finding new opportunities. And the person who never stops growing will never be limited forever by the person they used to be. So do not wait for a better life before you begin investing in yourself. Invest in yourself, and you increase your ability to create a better life. Do not wait until you have more time. Learn to use the time you have. Do not wait until you feel ready. Preparation is how you become ready. Do not wait for someone to teach you everything. Become responsible for your own education. And do not make the mistake of thinking that learning is complete simply because school is over. The most important education may begin after the classroom ends. The books you choose, the people you listen to, the mistakes you examine, the skills you practice, the questions you continue asking. These are shaping you every day, whether you are intentional about it or not. So be intentional. Feed your mind with ideas that make you stronger. Expose yourself to knowledge that makes you think. Seek wisdom that makes you wiser. Learn skills that make you more capable. And then take what you learn and put it to work. Because the goal is not to become a person who knows everything. That person does not exist. The goal is to become a person who knows how to keep learning. That person can enter almost any room, almost any industry, almost any challenge, and begin. Because they know they can learn what they do not yet know. That is confidence. Not the belief that you already have every answer. The belief that you can find the next one, and then the next, and then the next. So keep learning, keep reading, keep asking, keep listening, keep observing, keep practicing, keep applying, keep becoming. One day, you may look back and realize that the most important investments you ever made were the ones nobody could see. The pages you read, the skills you practiced, the ideas you considered, the mistakes you studied, the questions you asked, the hours you spent becoming more capable. Those investments quietly changed the direction of your life. And perhaps the greatest reward will not be that you became more successful. It will be that you became more prepared to use success wisely, more capable of handling responsibility, more able to serve others, more able to recognize opportunity, more able to face difficulty without immediately breaking. That is what a growing mind can do. It changes not only what you know, it changes what you are capable of. So make a decision today, not to know everything, to never stop learning, not to become perfect, to keep improving, not to wait for the world to educate you, to become a student of your own life. Because your future is being built by what you choose to learn, what you choose to practice, and what you choose to apply. One lesson can change a decision. One decision can change a habit. One habit can change a year. One year can change a life. And it may all begin with something as simple as opening a book, asking a question, or deciding that you are not finished becoming. You are not finished. There is more to learn, more to understand, more to develop, more to contribute. So protect your mind, invest in it, challenge it, keep it curious, keep it humble, keep it working. Because the person you become tomorrow is being shaped by what you repeatedly put into your mind today. And the more you invest in yourself now, the more valuable you become later. Not only to the marketplace, to your family, to your community, to the people who will one day depend on your wisdom. Most importantly, to the person you are capable of becoming. Keep learning, keep growing, keep applying, keep moving forward. Because education is not something you finish. It is something you live. And as long as you remain willing to learn, your story is still being written. The next lesson may be the one that changes everything.